Hey guys, Jess Halleck here. I've gotten so many questions and comments over the last few months. You just look happier, you look like you've lost weight, you're glowing, what are you doing? I can't put my finger on it, but something's different. And a lot has changed. And I didn't feel like I could just answer those messages in a paragraph. I need a video. So anyway, here we are. I've been so hesitant to do this because it's intimidating and it's very vulnerable for me. I've been through a lot in the last year and a half, in all aspects of my life, and it's just been a lot. So let me give you an idea of what was going on at the time. Like I said, this was like a year and a half. Fall of 2022. I was not doing well, at all. I physically was heavier. I basically put on about 40 pounds from what I was supposed to be. And that was heavier than even when I was pregnant with my kids. And it just wasn't great. So I was also already going to doctor, naturopath, nutritionist, getting my hormones done for years before that. A good, 4 years before that, I've been working on all these things. I had cut out inflammatory foods because I've definitely noticed a huge difference in my joints and so many other things. I was drinking greens. I've been doing everything. And then I was working out at F45 for 3 to 5 days a week, just depending. And I so consistently. I've done the trainer. I was counting macros. I was doing everything for years. Okay, my last kid was 8 years ago. It's been a while. And I would fluctuate a little bit, but not even close to anything. I'm saying maybe 10 pounds. So that was going on. Mentally, I was beyond my max. I was so stressed beyond my max. I was miserable. I was depressed. I was angry. I was resentful. I was everything. And it just felt like there was no way out. And business-wise, it was really hard. About summertime of 22, I started to realize more clearly that I needed to completely overhaul my business to keep it profitable, and that's really intimidating because, people are involved, and any decision that I make is going to affect them, and there's a lot. So come the fall time, it was more and more clear, and I was searching for an answer, any answer, and what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get out of this? Talk to my husband about it, and just had this overwhelming feeling constantly that I need to make room in my life in any way that I can, whether it's decluttering, people, my business. I had a lot of different things going on. I have a salon, I have a hair extension business, a brush line, I did social media. I needed to make room. And I didn't know how that was going to happen. But when we got closer, it became very clear. I was balancing my books for the end of the year, and I had to completely overhaul my business, restructure, because one side of my business was doing my hair extension side was very profitable, but it was carrying everything else because I needed to completely restructure my salon. I was staff heavy. I needed to change a pay structure. I needed to change a lot of things. And I knew that I only had myself and what I could handle personally to keep, growing this side and then completely overhaul this side, and decided that I couldn't do both. And so I'm saying it's a whole thing, what all went into this. So then I did the first really hard thing that I've ever had to do, I'd say, for me. And I had to temporarily close my salon because to me that seemed like what I could handle. And I committed to myself for a year of I'm not gonna do anything with the salon side. I'm just gonna sit here vacant, and I'm just gonna keep building the hair extension side because that's working well, and the right answer will come along of what I'm supposed to do. So I did that, and I did start to feel better. It took months for all of that to fully transpire, and I noticed a weight lifted, obviously, but physically I was kind of the same. I was just digging out of the hole I put myself in. So emotionally, that was really hard. It was also very, I don't know, intimidating, because especially being in my industry, it's all about how it looks from the outside, and it's tough to make hard decisions knowing, like, I don't know what everyone's gonna think or if they're gonna understand, but I knew for my business and for the longevity of my business, it was something I had to do, and for my own capacity, it wasn't working anymore. And then a few months went by. I definitely got these answers one at a time. As soon as like something kind of finished up, I was like, okay, now what? And I didn't know why things were happening in the order that they were. All I know is all the decisions I was making were not easier. They were just different, but they were heading in the right direction. And so then I got a strong feeling that I need to go all in on my hair extension business and my tool line and everything. And I didn't own the brand or anything, so I got a presentation together. I called all the important people, for a meeting, and went all in and just put everything on the table and was like, this is where I'm at, this is what I need to do. A lot of courage to bring this to you, but like, this is where I'm at. And I'm telling you, by the grace of God, a huge opportunity came that I never would have thought was even on the table to, I don't know. They guided me on how to create my own line, not white label, put my name on something that already exists, completely start my own. And that's a huge investment, not an investment I was really in a position to do, but I knew that I would have a lot more opportunities on the other end of that versus where I was at. So took another big risk, and dove all in, was getting everything ready to launch. And when I pictured my perfect launch and like this person I was trying to get to on the other side of all of this, I kept coming back to like my physical appearance, my mental state, and just like, it's not gonna mean anything if it's not all there. And like I said, I hadn't stopped working out 3 to 5 days a week, eating healthy. Like at this point, if I ate something that I wasn't supposed to eat, like my body would freak out. Like I was so dialed in as far as that goes. But I definitely felt this just imposter. It was embarrassing to me that I was so passionate about my health, but I didn't look like it on the outside. And at this point in my professional career, most people didn't see me at my best. A few years after I started doing hair, it kind of just started to go downhill. And it started from unhealthy reasons for sure, like normal stuff. But I've never been someone who can just like coast and, eat whatever I want and then I was fine. Like I always have had to work out, eat generally pretty healthy, but I'd stay in like a healthy weight. And there's so much clutter up here that happens when you don't feel great about yourself. And especially in this industry where you see me a lot, and I don't know. So around the same time, it was summertime, I ran into 2 of my really close friends separately, different times. I just must have not been paying attention, but they both looked great. And I was like, what? How? What are you doing? We've all been working so hard. What are you doing? And they both separately had done and gotten off of semaglutide. And I hadn't heard of it before. I'd heard of some other things, but like, I don't know. So I did my research, I met with my doctor, did blood work specific for that, because I had been doing blood work consistently, just not checking for those things. And I had always had this theory, and again, this is a theory, this is not Bible, I know, but this is just my theory, that because me and my 2 other friends, that they had seen great success and felt great, nothing, we all had gestational diabetes with our kids, and my body never went back after that. Not even like, oh, I didn't get back in shape, but like didn't regulate the way that it ever did. Like I was still checking my sugars years after, because I'm like, what is going on? I don't get it. So my theory of why this works so well for me has to do with that, because I was doing everything else But I know a lot of other autoimmune things have to do with regulating like insulin and stuff. So I don't know, that's my theory, and I could be completely wrong, but that was a huge reason of why I was open to trying it, because I knew that's also kind of how it worked. So I started, and in a few months I had lost 30 pounds. I was losing about 1.5 pounds or so a week. And so that was all last fall. And I kept doing what I was doing. I was eating 100 grams of protein or more a day. I was working out a few days a week, drinking lots of water, getting good sleep. Like, I'm telling you, this is the hardest part, is that I was doing these things for years with little to no results. So I don't know. I was so happy though to like actually see, like, you know, get on the scale and every week, like, I'm down 1 pound, I'm down 1 pound. And I didn't lose my hair. I didn't have any side effects. But I really think a lot of that had to do with, I already had really great habits of eating, and I already ate a certain way with, you know, high protein. And because I thought maybe I still had some form of diabetes after my gestational diabetes. And so I just kind of adapted eating that way. But anyway, so that was all last fall, lost 30 pounds. And then since then I tapered off. And it's funny because when I was losing all that weight, like, very few people noticed. I always say I know how to dress myself. Like, I wasn't accentuating, you know, my insecurities, but, you know, I didn't wear fitted clothes. I wasn't comfortable in any of that. And I just didn't feel like myself. But anyway, so people have noticed a lot, which is funny now, like in the last few months. And the only difference is that I've really been working on my composition, you know, kicked it up a notch and working out, and yeah, so just continued to change, but like in just a healthy way. And the reason I wanted to share about all of this, because now business-wise, everything is doing great. There's so much opportunity. If you would have told me 1.5 years ago that this is where I would be, I'd probably cry. I'd probably cry out of like envy that I want that so bad. I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, well, and to see the work that it was going to take for me to get to this point was also really intimidating, because I'd already done so much work to get to where I was. And that apparently that wasn't it. So now I feel when people say, you know, you're glowing, I don't know what it is, but you just seem so happy. Like, things aren't easier, but I feel way more equipped to handle the challenges that happen every day. And my business is not perfect. I still have very aggressive goals that probably make things more stressful than they need to be. But I feel like I can handle it. I have the mental capacity to handle what I need. I have 3 kids and a husband, and that alone is a whole job. And then my business, and then, you know, myself. So it is not address one area and it fixes everything else. When I was meeting with doctors before over the years and a few different people, they always got to the same conclusion that, like, I don't think anything's really going to change substantially until you dramatically lower your stress. And everyone when you hear that, you're like, I'm fine. When really you're not fine. You're just learning how to function with all of that. So since then, I've also picked up meditation regularly. That has been life-changing. I feel like that's healed a lot of wounds, I guess you could say, and helped me be really clear on inspiration of what I need to do next. And anyway, but the one thing that I never would want is for people to not feel like I was being authentic, and, you know, all of a sudden things are changing, and, you know, but you don't realize that it's been 1.5 years of all of these things. And I also, like, I had kind of put up this insulation of like this persona that was like my safety net. You know, I just looked different, and I had a lot of layers. And now I feel like I'm back to myself. You know, I little things like I'm not platinum blonde anymore, which for me was like well, at least my hair is blonde. Whatever. Like, I've pretty much gone back to my natural. I took my lashes off. I am dressing in a way that makes me feel confident. I've just evolved, but in such a good way. And every time I talk to people in person, that's another thing too, is when people would come to the salon for, because now we're full rental. So independent stylist, not commission. That was the other part of the story. It's come full circle. But things are obviously different, and I want what you expect, you know, online to be what you get in person, and it just felt uncomfortable for too long. But the journey that got me here was very uncomfortable and vulnerable, that I just wasn't ready to talk about it. But I know that I'm not the only person who's struggling with feeling stuck in your career, or being a business owner, or, you know, physically just feeling like, what am I supposed to do? And I just hope that my transparency helps in some way, that you feel like you can take your next step. Or I don't know. The one thing that I would recommend is writing down everything that is on your mind, like all your concerns, all your frustrations, stresses, positives, everything. And then and as much as you can, an open mind to reimagine your life in a different way. Whether, like for me, I was like, close my salon. Like, I have 5 years on this lease. What am I supposed to do? That's a risk in and of itself. Even though it was draining my other business because I needed to restructure it, it was still like, how? But to me, that was the hardest thing in the moment that I had done. And so, other than like, I don't know, when you start a business, that's hard, but like, it's exciting. It's different when you have to like make a decision that's not cool. And for the sake of the big picture. So reevaluate every aspect of your life. Maybe if I didn't work here, what would that look like? What if I, you know, lived off of way less? What if I completely rethought the way I think about, you know, health, nutrition, everything? Just, you are your biggest cheerleader, your own advocate, and don't doubt what your body tells you you need. Because every time I had to make a decision, I've always been this way, that I listen to what my body is telling me. Like, if I think of, you know, when I thought of closing my salon, even though that was so, I'd have to have all these conversations with all my employees, and that was so intimidating, I still felt calm about it. My body didn't feel tense. I felt calm. And then when I got to the point of, you know, I need to approach this vendor that I worked with for 10 years, you know, but still felt like peace. And same thing when I was like, do I try this shot that, you know, is such, you know, everyone has their different thoughts about it, but you listen to your body and your spirit, and it doesn't steer you wrong. It does not. So anyway, I am an open book at this point now. So if you have questions, please be nice, but put them in the comments. I know that everyone's situation is different, and I don't know if you feel like this all makes sense now, or if now you just have more questions, but I'd love to answer them and keep moving in this direction. I just have felt like I don't feel like mentally free to be me fully without updating everyone on what's happened. But I'm so happy and I want it to make sense. So anyway, I appreciate all of you. Let me know what you think. And if not, thanks for listening.